If you want a premium exhaust with great sound, tolerable volume, and excellent build quality for your 2009 to 2018 Hemi-powered Ram 1500, then the Flowmaster Signature Series dual rear exit exhaust is your system. On our loudness meter, we're gonna give this one a 3 out of 5. So this is one that doesn't go overboard on volume and instead accentuates the good sounds that the Hemi already produces. So that means you'll be able to enjoy this every day without getting your neighbors all worked up. Just a quick note on fitment here before we dive in too deep. This exhaust is designed to fit 2009 to 2018 5.7 liter Hemi powered Ram 1500s equipped with the factory dual exhaust. The Flowmaster Signature Series is one of those things that does exactly what it says on the box, and I think they absolutely knocked it out of the park with this one. As you heard from the clips at the start of the video, this system gives you that signature deep burbly Flowmaster sound, and it marks a bit of a return to form for the company. It's a rich, characterful noise, but it doesn't crank up the volume too terribly much. You get that classic Hemi rumble down at low revs and at idle, and as the revs climb, it just lets the engine sing a bit louder and prouder. Personally, I am a big fan of the noise of this one. Now that sound is thanks to the Signature Series muffler, which is a new addition to the Flowmaster lineup. Now, as you can see, this is described as a straight through muffler, but as you can hear, there's still some baffling inside. This one is pretty similar to the FlowFX mufflers that we've seen for a long time, just with a few key differences. Now, that straight through design is gonna help exhaust gases flow better, so you may end up with more power and better response as a result. And my disclaimer, though we are not dyno testing this exhaust, don't expect huge gains, but you will get an overall more fun and pleasant driving experience, and your truck might feel a little bit better too. Now that muffler also means that you're going to have more sound inside the cabin as well, but again, it's not over the top. Just like outside, you're gonna hear a nice low growl as you cruise along, and more of that Hemi goodness as you rev it out. It's more than tolerable for carrying passengers or long road trips. This is kind of how the Hemi should have sounded from the factory. I think it's really just about right. Now this is a dual rear exit setup with the tips exiting through the cutouts in the rear bumper, just like your stock exhaust. The difference here really are these tips. These are a slick looking black chrome and they're 4.5 inches in diameter, so they're quite a bit larger than your stock ones, which makes for a nice visual update. But if somebody happens to miss seeing those, well, they'll be able to tell you've got a Flowmaster on there the moment you start the truck up. But the way this thing is constructed might just be the best part of it though. The entire system is made from T304 mandrel bent stainless steel, so it's very resistant to rust and corrosion just by nature of the material itself. It's about the best you can get material-wise. Now this is gonna be a 3-inch diameter exhaust into the muffler with 2.5-inch diameter piping the rest of the way back to the tips, and the piping splits inside the muffler to head out the back. The tips are 4.5-inch diameter T304 stainless as well. They just have that PVD black chrome coating over top for a cool look and a little extra protection. The other cool part about the Signature Series is that Flowmaster makes these right here in the USA, and they are all TIG welded by hand, and you can tell somebody took time and care to make this thing right. The piping is also fully brushed to remove any imperfections caused by the manufacturing process, leaving you with an exhaust that looks as good as it sounds. But as with most things, there's a bit of a trade-off, and in the case of this system, it comes in the form of the price. This one's gonna run you about $1,400. Now that's not what you'd call cheap. However, it is a really good price for the material and the build quality that you're getting here. And it's significantly less than some other comparable systems that are of this same type of quality. So if you want a high quality exhaust that sounds great and won't leave you with a literal headache, save your pennies and check out the Signature Series. Installation is going to get a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you around 2 hours to complete. This is going to be a full bolt-on setup that will utilize all your factory exhaust hanger locations, so you don't need to make any permanent modifications to your truck. And since it's exiting in the same exact location as your stock exhaust, well, assembly is going to be pretty easy. It's a very straightforward job that you can definitely tackle at home, and we are going to walk you through the installation process now. So for that, let's head on out to the shop.
For this install, you will need an impact, a ratchet, 14 and 15 millimeter sockets, 14 millimeter wrench, hanger removal tool, a dead blow mallet, some penetrating lubricant, and also not shown here is a pole jack or a jack and jack stands. What's up guys, today we're going to be doing an exhaust on our Ram, but before we get started we're going to send you to watch a quick video on how to remove your factory setup, and we'll see you when you get back.
We have to remove our factory system. That includes pulling both tailpipes on either side of the truck as well as the factory muffler. We're going to unbolt the tailpipes from the muffler first using a 15 millimeter socket, That's going to allow us to pull the tailpipes off of the rubber isolators. All right, now that we have those two tailpipe clamps loosened on the muffler, we're going to go ahead and pull the tailpipes from the isolators. Once the tailpipes are pulled from the rubber isolators, that's going to give us enough leverage that we can kind of wriggle them out from the muffler itself, and then we can actually pull our muffler. All right, now that we have our driver's side tailpipe removed, we're going to do the same thing for the passenger side. The passenger side only has one hanger up here, makes it a little bit easier on us. All right, next we have to loosen the clamps securing our muffler to our flow tube here. That's also going to be a 15mm socket. With the clamp holding our muffler loosened, we're going to spray down our last two rubber isolators, and then we're going to pull the muffler from our mid-pipe. Now, if any of those rubber isolators are giving you a hard time, you can actually knock the muffler loose from the clamp that you loosened using a dead blow mallet. That'll give you enough leverage to pull it out of the rubber isolator.
All right, welcome back. Now that we have our factory system off, it's time to begin installing our new setup. And we're going to start with our extension pipe and our new muffler. Now this new extension pipe does have a locator notch in it to match up with your factory locator notch on your mid pipe. So we'll get this in place, slip that right over, make sure that locator lines up. Then we're going to add in our clamp, slip that right over like so. And we're just going to snug this clamp down. We're not going to fully tighten it just yet. To do that, we've got our 15mm socket on our impact. So not fully tight, just snug enough to hold it in place. Next, we can get our muffler in place. So we're going to slide our other 3-inch clamp over our extension pipe. We're going to get our muffler in place. Just like so, get that fully seated. Slide our clamp over our slip joint. Now we're not going to tighten this one at all just yet, but we will get our pole jack underneath to support it. We are going to need to move it around a little bit. So just as long as it's under there for now is good. Then we can start with our muffler outlet pipes. So we're going to start with our passenger side outlet. That's going to be the straighter one. So first we're going to put a clamp over our slip joint on our muffler outlet, like so. Then we're going to bring our outlet pipe over our axle. Now for reference, the side you want going into your muffler outlet is the side with the longer exhaust hanger. As you can see, that's going to line right up with our isolator. So we'll get that in place, and then we'll use our pole jack to bring this up, line that right up. Then we're going to seat that on. And we'll get this in position, so we'll need to pull back on our isolator. Kind of work this. It is a little bit stiff, but since these face opposite directions, kind of have to do it like this. Get that on. Make sure that's a nice even split for your rear hanger and your front hanger. Now we can get our driver's side outlet / crossover pipe on. So once again, get our clamp on first. This is always very important. If you forget to put your clamp on, you're gonna have to take everything back off. Get that on. We'll slide the end with the shorter distance hanger over our axle. And this side is going to go into our outlet. This down a hair. It's going to help line this up. Like so. Then we can get our other hanger in out over our axle. Now we'll get our hanger into our isolator at our axle. This one is going to take a little bit of maneuvering. Once you get that lined up, push that into position. Now we can get our driver's side outlet in place. So we're going to get our clamp over our slip joint. Get that onto our crossover pipe. This is a little tight at first. Kind of work it in place. Hanger into our isolator. We'll slide our clamp into position. Now, one thing with your clamps, you want to make sure you have them in an accessible position when you put them on, so put a little bit of thought into that. As you can see, we'll be able to just tighten this right down like so. We want to make sure this hanger comes back to where it's supposed to be. Now we'll get our tail sections in place. Once again, we're going to clamp over our slip joint. You want the curvature of this to come outwards and match up with your factory cutouts for your tips. Loosely line that up. Now we're not going to tighten these down yet because we're going to line up our tips and our outlets at the same time. So now that you have this side in, you do the same thing on the other side. So next what we're going to do is mock up our tips. We're going to get this in place onto our outlet. Slide that on so it seats pretty nicely. Work that in a good bit. Now we're just setting our distance now. We want ours to be pretty flush with our bumper, but have a little bit of room so it doesn't hit the bumper itself. So once you're happy with that, you'll hold that in position. You grab your 15 mil socket, come to your outlet, and we'll tighten this down. Now once you have this side tightened down, you want to do the same thing on the other side, and we're going to go back and tighten down everything else before we do our final install of our tips, just to make sure everything is still in position. So now we're back underneath the truck at our new extension pipe and muffler. We're going to start tightening down from here. So this one's already snug down, so we're going to fully tighten down our muffler inlet. We're going to come back and fully tighten our extension pipe. Now we can tighten down our muffler outlet pipes. Again, these are all 15 mils. Next, we'll tighten down our outlet to our crossover. Now we can get our tips on for our final install. We'll slide this on. Make sure they're sitting where we want them to sit. Again, we want ours flush. It has a slight slash cut. I want the tip of that to be facing straight up. And to tighten this down, we're going to use a 14 millimeter socket on a ratchet and a 14 millimeter wrench. I highly recommend using hand tools for this because this clamping system is pretty sensitive, and using a power tool with it can definitely damage it. And once you've got this side on, you can do the same thing for the other side. Alrighty folks, that about wraps up our review and install of our Flowmaster Signature Series dual exhaust system with black chrome tips and rear exit for your 09 to 18 5.7 liter Ram 1500 with factory dual exhaust. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything Ram, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.